Brandon Dewitt of Brooks County had the highest yield of any peanut farmer in Georgia last year. He's a modern farmer. He's a CEO of a very diversified business operation, but he is proud to be a Georgia farmer.
Just carrying on my father's, deal that he started back when he was 15 years old or so.
Brandon Dewitt has a very impressive operation in Dewitt Farms in Brooks County. They worked 7,000 acres with more than a half a dozen crops. His attention on digging his peanut crop when we visited. Is there a better time of year than right now?
No, I mean, harvest is the best time because, you've worked hard on the crop all year long.
In 2022, Dewitt set the state standard, harvesting 6,493 pounds per acre. For folks who don't know the peanut industry, that's incredible. Your name was in the news last year all over. You had the highest average of anybody in the state. I know that made you feel good.
It did, but all the stars have to line up with something like that. We don't ever plant a crop thinking that it's going to be that great. Obviously we want it to be good. We're not ever planting a crop to be in a yield contest and just throwing everything at it because you got to make a profit at it.
Brandon Dewitt grew up on this farm, taught by his father.
That's all I wanted to do when I was coming up. When I was in school, I didn't care anything about playing sports or ball or anything like that. I just wanted to go home and get on a tractor and get after it. As soon as I got out of high school, I think the day after I graduated, I started planting cotton the next day.
But Dewitt also grew up in a family deep in auto racing tradition, and he enjoyed his racing days. He takes from that a goal of doing his best and winning. Do you like competition?
Oh, yeah. Being competitive is something that's always been in myself, and if you can be competitive and have some success, that's nice.
Is farming got any competition?
It can be very competitive. You get competitive with your neighbor whether you want to admit it or not. That's just part of it.
Besides peanuts, Dewitt has a 200-acre bell pepper crop that will produce twice a year. He also will grow cotton, corn, green beans, cucumbers, and wheat this year.
Being diversified is an important thing. Because when one crop fails or whatnot, you've got a backup.
Brandon says they got big into vegetables in the mid-'80s while maintaining their row crop production. Brandon says their crops and varieties change season to season, depending on what is profitable. What's the future now in farming?
I think there's always going to be a future for it because there's more and more people, and statistics show, from the 80s to now, how many more people, and that's why we're mass producing now. And the yields that we had back in the 80s and the 90s would not possibly feed the amount of people there are today. So that's basically what's keeping it going.
Brandon Dewitt sees that as part of the competition of farming today, challenged by the price of inputs and the weather, striving to produce the food needed to feed a growing world. Dewitt says that's why he is happy as this year's peanut crop is dug.
That's what you worked hard on all year long, and you want to see what you're fixing to reap there.
Brandon Dewitt says this year's crop doesn't look historic, but still high quality, so that's why he is proud to be a Georgia farmer.